If I remember correctly, Austin, the last time that we did a show with Will, we actually had to like throw away half of the episode that never got aired, and it was just privately for us. So I'm really hoping that this time I don't fuck something up, and it's not like it's not just a Blitz being here thing. But we have a friend, which is something we haven't done in a minute.
Yeah, I promised a guest for this week. It was supposed to be Avo, but then Avo said next week. So instead, I got Blitz because we were playing Aghanim's Labyrinth, the custom version of it, just before this, and it was podcast time. And so, perfect opportunity to get Blitz low commitment onto the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Is it just like an efficiency play for you? Like you can combine doing two different podcasts you have to do into one, and we can just, roll it all out, put it on both channels, easy peasy?
Yeah, exactly. Easy for me. Also, William's in California, so that's another reason we're actually able to do this, because he's in the same time zone as us, because he came back. You came back after Lima. What? You said you can't be in Europe, William, or something?
Yeah, I don't have a visa.
Oh.
So I have to kind of strategically time things out. I'm checking my Europe calculator. I have 46 days left in Europe, technically. Or not 46, but after the major, I'll have 46.
So
when
did
does it roll
that
over?
change with Brexit? Is Brexit so when you're in Wales?
Actually, Brexit kind of helped me for this.
Yeah, I was about to say it doesn't count towards your Schengen days, right?
It does not.
Wow.
No, it does not. So actually, kind of useful. So until July or something, I can't do anything.
All right, so
I
I
have to
figure
we all took this.
We should get this out of the way right away, because Joey's internet is kind of sucking. All right. I'm sure everybody wants to know about Boxi. How's he doing? Anything you want to say on that subject. That way, anybody who shows up thinking they want to hear about that, we'll just get that out of the way. What do you want to say about Boxi, William?
Okay, so a few things. I tweeted, I don't want to talk about it, or it's his personal health. And then everyone proceeded to ask me, which was really annoying. The funniest part about human beings is they're we're entitled to these. That's what you are. You think you're entitled to all information. If you had some kind of illness, and you want to disclose it to the world, that's up to you. But he doesn't. So why am I forced to tell you? What makes you think you deserve to know? What have you done that makes you think that you're just entitled to this information? And then you just want to baselessly speculate. I saw some guy say it was he's got a drug addiction or something. It's the stupidest thing I've ever read in my entire fucking life. He got sick in Peru. He didn't want to be there and get checked there because we had to use Alex, God bless his heart, from Gaming Gladiators, Fatal Uno. And he's getting examined while this guy is turning away so that the doctor can and translating at the same time. It's just a really uncomfortable experience. And yeah, so he posted in our Discord that all good guys I can play. Feels pretty bad to ruin the potential major win for everyone, but I'm doing my best to recover and make sure I stay healthy in the future. And, we all told him your health above everything, and no one really cared too much. So he's all good for the time being. We're waiting for some final confirmation. Nothing too serious. Hopefully, sounds like it'll be just something annoying, but okay. And yeah, so I hope everyone just realizes that none of us cared. So, and you're not entitled to the info. You can keep asking. I'll just keep ignoring you and blocking you. You can. Some guy actually asked in a really nice way, and I kind of responded in a really snarky way because I was in a bad mood. And I'm probably going to go out and apologize. He was like, hey, excuse me, but if convenient, may I know if Boxi had the same problem as 2021? And then I just said, hey, just wanted to let you know it's none of your business. Thanks.
I mean, that is fair. That, I don't think that guy, you say it's nice, but that guy is just fishing for information. He's skirting around the whole hey, you don't get to know. And he's like, well, can I at least know if it was the same thing as the thing before? He's still trying to fish for more information. I think your snarky response was fitting.
No, but I mean, I still think like, maybe he's just socially awkward, and I'm trying to give people more of the benefit of the doubt. But when I say I'm not going to answer it because I'm not Boxy. He doesn't want to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. Like, you're welcome to continue to speculate, but no one's going to confirm shit for you. So, keep draining the circle. People are just human beings and they're curious. I get that, but like, it's really not that important.
Yeah,
what's nice when people
conspiracy theory. Yeah,
when people just said like, "Hey, get well soon. Hope you're all better." Done. Like that's a completely normal thing.
Yeah, when people talk about it on Reddit forums, I think that's
crowd.
acceptable because that's kind of what the public forum is for. Like it just generally that's kind of what people do. But when you start like directly asking people, that's where I think you're going over a line.
Yeah, and then I got a message saying that like some guy was just like speculating some I don't read Reddit as much, and I actually posted for the first time in like a year. Somebody actually made me post for the first time in a year because he was just like, yeah, everybody knows what it is, and he just started like speculating. And I said, we never said that, you're a fucking moron. And he deleted all of his comments, but like he's like, well then, Blitz, care to correct me? What is it that's wrong with him? I was like, you're stupid, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, this guy is a literal sociopath. But then I checked his like Reddit profile, and he's posting in RNBA saying like, everybody in here is a bunch of entitled divas. And I was like, do you not see the irony here of your comment? And then I got a bunch of messages asking me if we're going to kick him, saying Boxy's unreliable and all that. Like, fuck off. You're so annoying. I would say actually that was in the very minimal amount of comments, to be fair. Most people were very supportive. The Dota community and Reddit at large and my Twitter were very supportive for the most part. And I really appreciate that. And it was a good moment. And there was only like 10 assholes, which, ruins your day sometimes, but it's whatever. I'll get over it with my therapist. It's fine. It's like, it's fine. It's really fine. Like 9 billion nice comments is, the nice part. And I am appreciating that. So that's the Boxy side. We're not kicking him. He's going to play. I don't think he's pubbing yet, but he'll play. And yeah, that's that.
I think that part of the interesting situation here too was the dichotomy of that happening at the same time that the article was dropping about EG and their situation with Danny and the LCS. Because there's a lot of people drawing parallels to like, oh, hey, Liquid's taking care of their players and putting their health first. What a novel concept. So I think that, that helped.
Nice,
too.
Joey. Way to take the opportunity to put Liquid up on the pedestal and just dunk on EG. Oh, yeah. Have you guys not heard a week gone by where EG is a shitty organization?
That was so shameless. What the fuck?
That's what I'm here for, man.
No, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, when I talked to management, and more specifically John and Victor, they were always very good about everything. When we told them that we were kind of nervous about the Peru situation, Victor said that he 100% supported whatever decision we made, as long as we took the right steps to do it, even if it meant dropping out of the major if we felt that unsafe, which I thought was really, really, really cool. And then also, when Boxy thing happened, he immediately told us that he should, we told him the situation. He said, fly home, which I think is massive considering we're literally in top 3. We haven't dropped the series. I think I would never blame him publicly. So he would have all more reason to tell me like, hey, is it that bad? Can he play? He never probed once to say whether or not he could play. All the props in the world to Victor. He just straight up was like, yeah, like send him home. Like health comes first. I don't care. Like, what can we do specifically to make his life easier? Does he need business class? Does he need this? Like, it was a very immediate response in terms of like hard the other way, which was simply just, how do we make this better? How do we like make sure he's okay? And I can just say that without shitting on any other orgs. I can just say that was a good deed, independent, which I think, and he was never, I mean, that's never going to get publicly publicized, right? And so it's just me doing it. It's not like he did that because he thought I would come on you guys' like 40 view podcast and tell a story. He's not going to get any clout for this.
No, it's like a little bit double than that. But
I see. I'll just.
But no. I think that it is important just to put players' health first. What a novel concept. So we ended the last podcast with me telling Cap, like, hey, I'm going to see you in Lima. I bought a non-refundable ticket. And the next morning I woke up and Clay was talking to me about Boxi, and I was like, oh, motherfucker. I should have bought a refundable ticket.
I asked Joey, I was like, is it possible for Liquid to be eliminated before you get there? After he bought his ticket, before he gets there, I was like, is that possible? Because, Joey's had some bad luck with these things, and no, it was not possible for them to be eliminated. But honestly, it seemed like the next worst thing, which was, okay, they can't get eliminated, but they are going to be a player down. And then you guys still made the grand finals, so congratulations on that. Well done. I think the downer is Boxi health issues, but the upper has got to be motherfucking Jabs stood in and made it to a fucking major finals. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, we went from vacillating between being like horrifically sad to it being the funniest thing in the world. Like, I just couldn't get over the situation was just so fucking funny. We didn't even really talk about it. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. So we found out in the morning that Boxi's flying home because he told us he would let us know in the morning what he decides. We said no worries. So it was the day that we play. So we really didn't have, or was it the day after we played? No, I think it might have been the day before we played or something. I know Jenkins kept saying on the panel that we had like tons of time to practice. I was like, what do you think we scrimmed today? we just sent it. Who's scrimming? We're in the top 3. Like, who's still in the tournament? Who are we gonna play against?
Yeah,
so
I saw
the first
Jabs
thing
had
that
2 pub games before the first match.
Yeah. So the first thing that I did was I looked at all the players that were still at the event, and we immediately messaged Valve, and we're like, I knew it was super unlikely. It would be really against, just general fair play and stuff, and way too complicated. But we asked about Ari and Saksa. They said no, which is completely fair. But they did say we could use Jabs, which was, pretty fun. And I'm sure just a good, if you look at it from Jabs' perspective, he went from like not playing to like literally being able to do something very few people get an opportunity to do, which is play on a main stage in a major. And everybody tried their best to make things as comfortable as possible for him. I looked around and I was like, what Peruvian players are here? And I saw like Infinity or something, like Pepita's team was here. Mm-hmm. But then Zai made the call and simply said that I would rather play with Jabs than send it. And if we get top 3, which we were guaranteed for anyways, everyone's kind of happy anyways. So that was the life. We said to ourselves, if that's how it ends, at least we'll do it for fun. And no one's really expecting too much from us, right? So that's kind of the direction things went, is we simply just got Jabs to play.
I just saw, so I looked up Jabs' Wikipedia page, and the latest one is, second at Lima Major 2023, prize pool of 100,000. So his approximate total winnings just went up to 24,000, where it was before 4,000. So
yeah, because before that, there's tournaments from like 3 or 4 years ago that are like 2 or 3 events.
Yeah.
I mean, he was great. He's like 8.6K. Which is quite high, like for the average player. Obviously, would be probably the lowest in Pro Dota, besides maybe like Kuro or something. Because I don't know if that guy pubs anymore, but realistically, we had in all of Dota in Tier 1, we probably had the lowest player play for us, and my team was still able to make it happen. And to be fair, Jabs acquitted himself in the Talent Series very well. I thought he played just fine. In fact, I think he was very good in the Clockwork game. He made some really clutch plays. He farmed. So yeah, very good. Good for him.
What was the difference between his play, or like the strategy of using him between the first and second day? Because there something changed, Will?
Yeah, so we essentially decided that we would originally move him to 4 because it's a role he's more comfortable with than 5, and also it would mean only switching 1 role versus switching like 2. So we decided to just send it. I mean, we were all confused. No one knows what the protocol is. And then we didn't really know what to draft. Nothing really made sense. It was really hard because a lot of our drafts were based around Boxi, and most of our play is kind of based around Boxi. I'm not here to make excuses, but a lot of people I saw were asking why didn't we do this and why didn't we do that. I'm like, okay,
Why didn't
Nisha
you
might
ban
be
Lina?
Nisha might be like our best player, but Boxy's definitely our most important player. Is the best way to put it. Like almost all the pros recognize that Boxy's very integral to our success. I mean, Fishman told me at the sauna one of the days that, like our team's very good, but with Boxy we'd be beatable. And he says with Boxy it feels impossible. And I was like, thanks, that's really nice of you to say. Yeah, I mean, I'll touch on the Lina shit later if you guys want to know. Not that the patch has changed. Such an annoying discussion. Like, I hate it so much.
I was just giving you shit.
You know what happened for that thing? Me and Zai, okay, it was so funny actually. I don't know if they showed our booth. We were dying laughing in series, like in the third game of the finals. Because somebody, I think Nisha suggested that we give them Brood. And me and Zai said at the beginning of the day, no matter what happens, we're not letting them play Brood. It was such a miserable experience. We made the trade where we got Lina and they got Brood, and it was so unplayable that we were just like, it's not going to happen. I said, listen, Gladiators is realistically just a much better team 4v5. And no offense to Jabs, but it's just not going to be pretty. So no matter what, we can't give them Brood. And I saw what the Lesh game looked like. So at least the Lina path, we talked about it with Gladiators after, and they agreed that was the easiest path to take. Almost all the pros agreed. The reason why you see Lina do so well is because the other shit got like banned. I think we gave up Lina all the time in our series, and we lost 2 games total before Boxy had to go. We had lost 2 matches total, not series, matches, like individual matches in the major. We played like 20 games and we lost 2 of them. We gave up Lina on quite a bit of them. So it wasn't like we were worried about the hero. It's just, at the end, after the first game, it was kind of like, well, fuck, they're probably just much better than us. And then the second game was, in my opinion, like the best draft that we got. And Aiden's Tiny was the most sended thing I've ever seen. I mean, we were dying laughing. He was like, my bad. I was like, it's all good. What can you do? We were like, is that mid-matchup hard, Nisha? And he's like, no, but when he gets first blood and 3 bounty runes, it's probably not the best. Aiden felt really bad. He's like, my bad, guys. It's like, all good. And then the third game draft, Nisha outside said, no matter what, pick me SF. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to treant Tiny, and they're not going to know that the Tiny is a carry, and we're just going to run at them. And you're going to be SF, and we're going to battle. He's like, yeah, sounds good. So we do this strategy. We pick treant Tiny, and then he immediately says, I don't want to do it anymore. I said, what? So then we're just dying. And then I don't want to name names, but then somebody farted in our booth, and it smelled like death. And it was just a shit show. It was the worst 2 minutes of my life. And then everyone just started dying laughing because it was so fucking funny. Like Nisha laid out this plan. I laid out the plan actually. I was like, all right, here's exactly how we're gonna get them. I'm gonna set your SF up. It's gonna be beautiful. Like all of these things are gonna happen. And then he was just like, I don't want to play SF anymore. I was like, okay. So then it just was a shit show, and then we just decided to yuck it up.
You ended up with mid fucking ancient apparition.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. We weren't beating them.
For himself.
He said he would play it. Zai kept saying he'd play it, and he could still play SF. And Nisha's like, nah. I'll play the AA. And then it was just, oh god, it was just all bad. But I mean, it didn't matter. We weren't going to win that series, guys.
No.
Realistically, they were, in my opinion, our only real competition, and it just wasn't doable 4v5. I'm sorry to say, Jabs is great. I think he did really admirably, but you're asking a guy who hasn't played competitive Dota in 5 years, who's probably the lowest MMR player at the major by maybe 2,000 MMR, to come in unpracticed, last second, day before. Hey man, you're going to be playing top 3. It's not even like he gets a ramp up period where he's playing some freer teams. He's just playing against the top 3 teams at the event.
So Jams is a much better player than me or you, William.
Yeah,
at least right now, anyway, because you don't play pubs.
Not really, no.
You do. You rage at everything. So if Jams is a much better player than us, and you said something that he said about he said the speed of how everybody plays in the game is just so much faster than he's used to, right?
Yeah, he was saying that The laning phase, he said, was kind of okay,
Mhm.
which, we were used to really winning the offlane every game, but he was drawing, which is fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's about as good as it gets. But he told me that the hard part was actually the macro game, just where to be. He said the team fights, whatever, they kind of play themselves, but he said the ganks, the opportunities, the moves, like where you're supposed to farm, where you're supposed to be at all times, where is it useful for yourself to like not just be a complete bot, was just impossible for him. He said everyone was so quick that he just didn't, and everybody in our team is just playing their own game and they don't have time to sit there and like explain to him. Because I saw a lot of when I say a lot of comments, I'm obviously exaggerating, but I saw one comment that said, surely it's not that big of a drop off from Boxi because he does a lot of our strategy with us and stuff. And being able to watch a replay at half speed is very different than playing at full speed and actively thinking about the next move that you're going to make while under pressure. It's just such a different thing. And so I think he just got lost really quickly. Probably every game past like the laning phase, he probably was just dreading past the laning phase, like, oh god, now I've got to direct moves and do things, and that's Boxi's job for us. And suddenly we don't have that. And Aiden did an admirable job of trying to like make it happen. And he told me and Zai in between days that just pick what you would normally pick for Boxi, and we'll see what happens. And we're like, all right, whatever, fuck it. Couldn't have been worse than whatever the fuck that was. So.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good perspective. Like this is a guy who has bid 9,000 MMR and is an analyst on a top tier team, and he's lost in the game. So hopefully they give some people perspective on like what it's like to play professional Dota, because it never ever like what you are observing versus how it is to actually play in the game is so dramatically different. I always notice that if I was ever playing competitively at all versus like being able to sit with no fog of war and just free time to like think about what I would do rather than clicking on the map and doing things, like even just last hitting and like being distracted by like simple lane mechanics and stuff. It's pretty massive difference of observing and playing.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I once saw somebody say that the Olympics should always have the average person come and do the sports or whatever, so you can see the difference of how good these people actually are. And Jabs is a pretty good test case for that. So, because he's an exceptional player. Realistically speaking, Jabs is a top 1,000 in the world. Maybe a bit worse than that, but that's very impressive considering Dota's player base and stuff. And he's still just completely lost in that kind of setting. And we're talking about things that, we're asking him to play at a level of a top 5 player in his position, I think, in my opinion, the best. But, people, I don't want to argue with anybody, so we'll just say Boxi's top 5 in his role. He's trying to fill in that plate. It's not going to be fucking easy.
Yeah, and you also said that Boxi was a large part of communication for the team, right? So
yeah.
That's a pretty big loss. So
huge Boxi fan.
Everybody else had to step up. Who stepped up the most when it came to the communication aspect?
Probably Aiden. I mean, he was just trying to make life as easy as possible for us. Between the games, actually during the draft, the talent draft, we were like, it's too good of a clockwork game. We opened NP, they opened Treant, Primal, and it's just too good of a clockwork game. On 8, you need to have a hero that counters both. And so we're like, you're going to have to play Clock Buddy. And he said, I don't really know. And Aiden was really nice. If you watch the VOD, I don't know if they show the booth or whatever, but you'll see Aiden just sit down and calmly explain. While me and Zai are talking about the draft, he's just like, all right, man, here's what you're going to do. When this guy does this, you do this. When he goes here, you go here. In team fights, make life as easy for yourself. Like, he was trying to give him a play-by-play, but in a really simple way. Because he wasn't trying to overload him with info and say, give him 50 scenarios. He was just giving him like 3 situations to focus on. And he was really just trying to calm him down. Because if you're in Jabs' shoes, you've got to be terrified. You're like not really sure what's going on. You're playing a hero that you're unfamiliar with. and Aiden's just kind of holding his hand and saying like, "Listen." I thought it was a really sweet moment actually, because we were really trying to make him feel as comfortable as possible in there. So
Yeah.
or at least
Aiden
everybody
also
else
added
was.
a lot of levity behind the scenes too, I think.
Yeah, that's something he did at TI as well.
Like a big group effort to just kind of keep the attitude positive and like to make Jabs feel as comfy as possible. Because he cited to me at least before, he's like, yeah, you know, last time I've played competitively, like I was just nervous. So he was really worried about just being nervous on stage with the fans because it was not quiet in the arena, especially the final day. It really filled out.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the team did a good job overall of stepping up. I think everybody, except for me, probably. I was probably just moody and sad when I originally heard. If I'm honest, I was probably not being a very good coach. If I have some level of self-awareness and reflection, in the beginning I was way more negative than I should have been, which probably did not help Jabs either. But you know, eventually my team overcame me being a piece of shit, and you know, they were just better. So good on them.
All right. Well, you know, you guys still made the. Guys still got second. You guys still have the most DPC points out of any team. You're not secure to TI, but if you guys just do well on the DPC, the rest of the DPC, you probably should be able to slide on in there.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's Europe, so there's no guarantees.
And
God knows.
You guys seem to be pretty good right now. And while I think everybody expected the game to have some sort of big change to it, turns out we got an
size at
E-patch.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. I really think our team is just kind of dependent on how hard everybody works and if everybody does their job. So we just had like yeah, you know, we had some meeting, Joey, today. I don't know if you probably had it too on Liquid.
I didn't, but I know what you're talking about.
Some brand meeting thing that I had to wake myself up at 8 a.m. for. I was so tired. And then I was
company, man. West Coast time's rough.
I think the person that gave the meeting was actually American or in America. So
you had a brand meeting.
It was kind of just like, here's what you cannot do. You know, it was the don't be an idiot company-wide talk for players and stuff, which, you know, I don't think my team really needed, if I'm honest, because I think I've got good eggs, which I you know, can't always say, but we've got good eggs.
You have much better, fresher, and plumper eggs than other people do.
Yeah, I mean, they're good guys. They don't say anything behind the scenes that are questionable or anything like that.
Yo, which one of your games has the rotten egg? I feel like Joey's got a name in mind.
You know, we had to talk to somebody about following Andrew Tate recently. Just
oh, really?
Throw it out there, yeah.
I see. Interesting.
All right. Have you guys played the new patch at all?
No, I have not yet.
Joey?
No.
Okay,
no,
all right. I'm the only person with an opinion here, apparently. New patch fucking sucks. I hate it.
Why? Oh, really?
Does the new patch make this new DPC season easier, Will, because it is a smaller change as opposed to like an exponential one? Like are you happy that it is an E patch, or would you just rather have had a full clean slate where you had to really grind for again?
Probably prefer a full clean slate, to be honest. I think it's kind of boring to have to like just go through the same thing. I mean, I think, for example, our team really benefited from the past patch. Obviously, I think we were the best team in the world. So, but at the same time, you know, my team doesn't have the best motivation right now. I mean, part of the reason I'm into Ags Lab so much is just because Nisha plays it 24/7 instead of pubbing. So.
Okay, though, so that I think it is an interesting side topic here, which is Nisha does not pub as much as the rest of your teammates, but he does do a lot of replay review, right?
Yeah, I'd say Nisha probably plays the least pubs by far out of anybody in the top level, aside from maybe like Kuro. I think he told me like in the last 2 years he's probably played less than like 100 pubs, which is kind of incredible if you think about it.
That makes no sense. That actually, I don't believe that.
Yeah. Since he's joined Liquid, though, he's actually gotten a lot better. And he claims, in fact, I'm going to Dota 2 Pro Tracker right now just to make sure that he is playing pubs. So, I mean, you have to with this guy. You got to just like make sure that he's on the straight and narrow. He's played one game 5 days ago. Okay. He is actually. Nope. He's not playing. Okay, I'm gonna just quickly jet him a message real fast.
Do you have to? Are there other habits you have to break niche of? I noticed a couple times, at least in the vlog footage I've been reviewing, that you might have a 2021 Boxi problem with him not waking up on time. Are you having to be a niche dad?
1 second, I'm just writing this message.
Anyway, so I think part of the super interesting thing for me is the fact that, yeah, he doesn't pub that much, but apparently he does watch a lot of replays. And so, like, the best player in the world doesn't have this repetitive practice of pubs, but it says a lot about the fact that he is able to see things happen and then put it into practice without very much, like, muscle memory, I guess, in that regard. Right, like he watches mid matchups, sees what other people do, and then puts those things into practice. And I think that's like that's pretty interesting, and probably a big part of his identity as a player is that sort of just like see and do. You know, like my ass, like I see something and then it immediately goes out the window. I have to like repetitively do something over and over and over again to be able to like actually consistently do it. But I think that's pretty interesting that he's able to go that other route.
Yeah, I think it works in both ways because, for example, Quinn is another mid player who I think is exceptional and he grinds. Mm-hmm. So there's no right or wrong way. I think the NFL calls itself a copycat league. You do what people that are successful do without really thinking about the nuance or what works for you. And I think that's really important, right? To have context. Like this guy doesn't play pubs, but he probably understands how to learn in a very unique way that probably won't apply to most players. Like I probably wouldn't accept it as an excuse if Zai told me he learns more from, because Zai is the type of person that needs to do it and see it for himself.
Right.
And so when he tells me he doesn't have to pub, that's a bullshit excuse in my opinion. Whereas I think Mickey actually and Nisha are quite good at not having to grind. I think players like Boxi, Aiden, and Zai really benefit from viewing it with their own eyes, especially Boxi. And being able to play it out is really important. So there's no real, perfect thing. I wouldn't tell you if you're an up and coming player to only watch replays, and I wouldn't tell you to only play pubs. But there's probably you figure out what works well for you. But it is pretty interesting that he's one of the few players that does that.
Okay, so back to the patch though. What's your feelings on Meteor Hammer, Blitz?
I don't know. I know that
that's the fucking patch, baby. So you better get used to Meteor Hammer. You better fucking love this item. I
see that everybody's buying it, and I'm not really. I've been taking a little bit of a break, so tomorrow I guess I'll start watching games again. And I'll probably. I really hate playing patches in the beginning. I just like to watch and see what happens, and then I'll just copy what is apparently good. Like I hear Abaddon is really sick or something. I don't really know.
Time buff, baby.
Yeah, and I don't really know why this Meteor Hammer thing is a thing. I'm sure. Did it get buffed in any way or some shit? Like
half a second less channel time. So
it's pretty big.
Yeah. So it only takes 2 seconds to go off, and it hits at 2.5 seconds, I believe, where it used to be 2.5 and 3.
That just makes it easier to synergize with setup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of heroes in the game that have a 2 second plus stun. There are a lot of them out there. I do think, I will just say that I do think it is overly bought right now, no doubt, but pubs are literally insane right now. It's like fucking 4 Meteor Hammers on both sides. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life, and I hate it. But I do think there is some kernel of truth to this mass meteor hammer buying, which is, yeah, this item is pretty good and it works with a lot of heroes right now. So, because the buildup is nice too, right? Like you get a ring of health in lane. It naturally is like off laner or carry or something like that. That always feels good. I'm watching Gabby right now. I literally pulled it up on my stream. I'm just like, I'll go to some top pro. Gabby is playing Pangolier and he has a fucking meteor hammer. Like what?
Okay, that's pretty interesting. No, I'd have to see the mechanics of how it works myself before I'm able to fucking comment on it. But I mean, it sounds obnoxious, but maybe it's just a good change. Maybe the nicest thing about it, it'll potentially fix a lot of the high ground issues that Dota currently goes through for a lot of people.
Yeah, could be. And I suppose nobody's touched Muerta at all.
Want to? That's the reason I'm waiting till I can actually load up a game and play without the hero getting picked by someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not touched.
I haven't played it. Obviously, every single game has a Muerta in it, so I played with and against it a lot. I mean, it seems pretty interesting. The definitely the fear shot, I think, is a pretty cool mechanic. The AoE ghost thing that silences seems to be quite strong, and she can do some pretty intense damage. It just takes a little bit, I think, for her to get to that point. But yeah, I think she is not overpowered. In fact, it's maybe possible she's underpowered, but she does have some pretty cool mechanics. Fun hero to play, I think. So that's cool.
Who won the patch? What heroes are you seeing in your pubs?
I mean, I heard Abaddon was good as well, so I'll definitely stick with that one. And then any hero that has a stun, I was like, I looked through the patch and the first thing I did not look at anybody else playing Dota. Okay, I just jumped in a day after the patch had come out. First pub game, and I was scrolling through, looking at things. Okay, all pretty minor changes, but there were definitely some ones that stood out. And I was like, oh, Meteor Hammer. Okay, that seems pretty good. Sand King got a buff. So very first game, I'm like, I'm going to do Sand King Meteor Hammer. And little did I know I was jumping to a game where there would be 7 other people all picking up a fucking Meteor Hammer too. So, it goes to show the gut read of just numbers does work out. So yeah. Other than that, I can't remember anybody else who really stood out to me too much, because again, the patch is not terribly large. There was mostly just losers, right? There was a fair number of meta losers.
If you look at the people that gained win rate, that's there's really not many that went up exponentially. Alchemist went up a little bit, Brewmaster went up a little bit. Looks like, Jakiro's doing well. But if you look at the people who've lost win rates, it's holy shit.
Yeah,
Lina down 7%,
that,
Razor down 6%.
Yeah, heroes specifically went down because they got nerfed hard. The heroes that went up, I think, are maybe the hero got a buff. It's like the Sand King one, actually. It's not like the Sand King buffs were that good, but I saw Meteor Hammer got buffed, and I was like, maybe that's actually pretty decent, right? I think it's the same thing for Alchemist. Alchemist got a pretty sizable buff, not necessarily because his hero specifically got buffed, but because Radiance got buffed. That's a hero that is going to utilize Radiance probably the best out of any hero, because if it's cheaper to buy, he buys it earlier, and he just cycles through and gets 6-slotted that much faster because he's now bought a Radiance 1 minute earlier, So I think I think you look to items more so when it comes to win rates going up on certain heroes. But yeah, definitely far bigger losers than there are winners. I tried Centaur with his stupid fucking hitch a ride Aghanim Scepter. That was pretty fun. Now that you get Stampede when you hitch somebody onto your cart, so that it's like a stampede that lasts forever. It's actually pretty cool.
It lasts the whole duration of the hitch?
Yeah.
And both of you, I mean, you're carrying them, so you both go.
Yeah, exactly. So you're both going max movement speed. So that's pretty nice. I like that. That was a cool change. But
I'll just keep buffing that. That'll be my preference.
All right, you guys don't know shit about the patch. So you want to talk about bans instead?
Yeah, I've got a funny story about the bans.
I have questions, so go for it.
So we were doing. There's a thing. It's a sauna group that we go to that we've established. It's like the main people that go are me and Duracho and Tomato nowadays.
Important question: how naked do you get?
We go. We keep underwear on because
Okay.
I don't want to see Dota player dicks. Honestly, if they were perfect strangers, I wouldn't really care. Maybe that's the prude in me, but yeah, I just I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. It doesn't seem like anybody else goes. The thing is, it's not like they go no boxers without me in there. So it just we all towel up, which apparently is like super not okay for a lot of people, but whatever. I don't give a shit.
I mean, this is a group of like this Sonic group has players from different teams, so they're all competitors. The last thing you want to know is that some dude has a much bigger dick than you, and all of a sudden there's some intimidation factor going into your competition.
For sure.
Can't be that attractive and hung. Like it's just that would be bad for everybody's ego.
Yeah. So it was me. I think it was Anton in there, which is Duracho, and Stormstormer and Fishman,
Mm-hmm.
and we just talk shop in a really friendly way. Like, oh, how'd your matches go? I think actually this generation is my favorite because everybody just is completely okay with each other, if that makes sense. There's no beefs. Everybody's actually just kind of excited to see each other. Obviously, you have to play, and there's like some level of rivalry, but a lot of it is actually just. Like, for example, even though Entity and us were in the same group, we were just chatting about the other teams in a friendly way. Like, oh, how was your game today? Were they good? It's like, yeah, these guys were all right. Kind of just like chilling.
Mhm.
Duracho would say like, yeah, this team in our group seems pretty good. It's like, oh, cool. Nothing to like share strats or anything. Mainly just like, talking shop.
Sure.
Anyways, after the first day, we go down to the sauna. We're just talking. Everyone's like, oh, how did you guys do? Entity's like, oh, we had a pretty good day. Started 2-0. And we're like, oh, who'd you play? And then Stormstormer said, we played Geek Slate and Knights. And I said, oh, how was Knights? And he said, bro, I would be so surprised if they weren't match fixing. I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I would be stunned. He said, you guys are going to smash them. And it might not even be because you're good. He said it was so confusing. He said he felt like their mid player was actually pretty good. And yeah, he thought they were better. He was better than he expected, but was like, yeah, this guy's match fixing. It's like, okay. He was like, yeah, this team is like so fucking sus. And I was like, man, don't like hearing that. Because I hadn't really looked into it too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know what was going on or anything like that. I kind of willingly keep myself ignorant from the Dota scene nowadays. So I didn't realize like they were actually that sus. But yeah, apparently all of the pros were like, yeah, these guys are just straight up fucking doing it. But I'd walk by their door and they were always having a good time. They were always dying laughing. Like, everybody was just fucking yucking it up, having a good time. And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of confused because I understand it's harder and harder to make money as a Dota player, but it's like for a lot of these guys, this is the only thing they've ever done, and they're willing to just like throw it away now.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of crazy. A lot of these guys are quite young, like in their early 20s and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't feel that bad though. You made your fucking choice, so.
Yeah, Joey, you got anything to say about the match fixers that have now been convicted in the eyes of Valve and Perfect World? You got anything you want to say? Just for context, William, I told Joey that cheating and match fixing is going to be a thing. This was probably about 6 months ago or something, and I said this is something we got to be very vigilant about because it definitely goes on and we need to keep it. And Joey's just, I don't know if it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. Okay, Austin, look, how many people really got banned? The number was like less
half
than 30,
the Chinese
right?
DPC.
The number was like less than 50. That's if you look at the whole proportion of people, that's not many. It's like a small little chunk, right?
Just
Jesus
say
Christ.
I'm wrong. You're right, Austin. Well done.
You're making it worse. I'm just gonna lean in harder. Dude, fuck. How did this not get to happen until after the major?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because like my assumption, not to tinfoil hat this, but like it was probably a strong inkling of this before everybody went to Lima and played an official event that could have a lot of, betting happening, or just other teams who maybe deserve to be there more go, than have China just completely look like fools, both eHome and Knights. I don't think eHome had a lot of ire on them. I think that was more.
Oh yeah, eHome got banned too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, we scrimmed those guys, and I was like, what the fuck are they doing? I was like, just really confused. Like, now that I don't want to ever leak scrim shit, but now that they're fucking banned, I don't give a fuck. I almost felt like they were scrimming so that people wouldn't be suspicious of them match fixing. I'm not even kidding. Like, their safe lane dies like twice or something, and then he just goes mid, and they're like quad laning us and kind of just running around the map as like 4 people. And I was like, are these guys on crack or something? Like, what's
is a waste of your time at that point?
Yeah, I mean, we played the 2 games and we were just like, what was the point of this? Like, this was such bad practice. And you have to play, because we wanted to play some of the Chinese teams. And I think we had to cancel against LGD or something. I can't remember what happened there, but we ended up playing eHome. Or no, we did play LGD, but we played eHome, and then it was just like, what are these guys doing? It was just, why are we scrimming this? It's like, this was like one of the biggest wastes of times like ever, for everybody involved. It was just bad. It's like, why did we do this? So yeah, that wasn't great. That was just a terrible day of practice. And then I was like, these guys look way worse than Knights. But I never thought they were match fixing.
So that question, Joey, about why did this not happen before the major? So it might be this is just me spilling some rumor mongering that I've heard, but it might be that they did not get like confirmation, like they didn't get the sort of like the final nail to put in until after the major. Because I did hear there was obviously a lot of people who are like, yeah, Knights is definitely match fixing. There was a lot of people who felt very, very strongly about it. But I did hear about one person in particular who felt extremely strongly about it. And it was because there was actual information that basically said, oh yeah, these guys are actually match fixing. Outside of just like, what you see, basically, because a lot of the pro players and like analysts did go back through that replay, their replays, and like look at that sort of thing. So so it's possible that wasn't actually a thing until after the major, because otherwise I assume if they had that, then they surely would have gotten them before they went to the major, or even while they were there. Because everybody was talking about the blog that went out, like, is everybody, like, somebody to get banned, and like people were definitely waiting for Knights to get banned, and they didn't, but only happened afterwards. So
how does this impact the rest of the year for the Chinese DPC? Because there's like a lot of new teams that are filtering up into both Division 1 and Division 2. There's a lot of points that China scored that are just like off the table. Like there's hundreds of DPC points that just like went up into smoke, right? So does this make it harder to have more Chinese teams qualify for TI too?
Yeah, almost certainly.
Yikes.
Yeah, but it means more for Europe, baby.
They had 120 and 60. I mean, the important points are the 180 and 300, right? So I'm not sure if it makes that big of a difference. But I think the bigger thing is just like the scene kind of got ravaged when it's already down and out, it's definitely struggling, the Chinese scene, because, you know, like nobody's playing on the servers. Everybody's playing on Southeast Asia. They're like 5-stacking on Chinese servers and stuff like that. The like incoming player pool is like extremely poor. Everyone's playing like custom games or other games entirely. So it's going to get real bad, I think, for China, unless, you know, the saviors of the Chinese scene come back, aka Ame, Chalice, and those guys.
They're probably looking at things like, "Hey guys, this is a free year at this point. Who wants to go clean up? Retirement?" No, it doesn't even like if you look through Wikipedia, it doesn't even like say what's going to be going on with Chinese Division 2 at this point, because there's just so many people who need to go fill those spots. I don't know if they're going to like run a new qualifier or something, but it'll be interesting to see what they try and do. There's a lot of opportunity for people. Hopefully the right people.
I mean, all I know is I'm happy this happened. It's sad, but you know, the amount of rumors that I've heard about the Chinese players and Chinese teams, especially in like the Div 2 area and stuff like that, yeah, I'm glad we're able to clean some house, because you know, that sort of shit is like a pandemic. It just spreads and spreads. The more people do it, and the more you do it successfully, like the more you get other people to do it, and it just spreads. It spreads so quickly. I don't know if it'll actually, you know, fix the scene, because the underlying elements are still there, right? Like the actual, like, you know, people say there's like actual like Chinese mafia behind that sort of thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but like there is obviously huge amounts of money to be made by match fixing. So that hasn't gone away. That's still an opportunity for the new players that come through. So we'll see.
We will see. What else happened this week?
That was pretty much it. That's all the big shit. We don't really have a whole lot more. We got some, you know, Muerta and patch, and we got cosmetics. Don't think anybody here cares about cosmetics. I certainly don't.
I definitely don't.
Oh, I do want that pudge. I do want that pudge with the sombrero. That I do want that one. But other than that, I don't care.
How quickly did you guys get out of that plane earlier this week and out of LAX? Because I was shocked that I was at the back of the plane. I unloaded late, but I didn't see you anywhere. And I'm like, those motherfuckers must have ran through the airport.
We got through pretty quickly, actually.
Damn.
Yeah, I would have been out so fast, but I waited like 10 minutes for William to get his bag. Yeah, I don't know where the fuck you went, because me, William, and Fear were all hanging around the baggage.
Yeah, we were in and out, bro.
Fear was sitting one seat in front of me, and I didn't have a bag. I didn't have anything to get. I was stuck in customs forever.
What? Aren't you the whatchamacallit? The TSA pre-check or whatever?
I do. No, I don't have global entry.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
well,
I was
also you could do the mobile
plane.
app. Just do the mobile app. It's
I've never
literally
done that.
5 seconds. I literally just, it is always an empty line. I go straight through. I wait 5 seconds to get to the guy. At most, he takes like another 5 seconds for me to scan it and ask where I was coming from. And that's it.
Have either of you
easy.
ever watched Shape of Water?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I watched it on the plane, and I think it's my new least favorite movie ever.
What?
You don't like it?
I hated it.
What the fuck?
Shit.
What is wrong with you? You also hated Bullet Train.
Bullet Train was infinitely better than Shape of Water. It's my least favorite movie.
All right, no worries. What was it before? What was your least favorite movie before?
Nomadland.
I see.
Oh,
I'm trying
I
to
didn't
watch
think
all the
that was
best
that
picture
bad.
winners. It was whatever.
Man, you know, before I date somebody, I always make them watch MacGruber with me to see if we're going to be compatible. That's like my first test. And if they just don't understand it, or if they hate it, then we just probably won't get along.
So Chloe passed that test then?
Yeah, she likes shit humor. Yeah. So, I'm a fucking idiot and I'm not that interesting. So, if you're expecting more, you're just absolutely fucked. So we might as well just cut these expectations out of the way. as soon as humanly possible.
Do you make them watch MacGruber 2?
There's a second MacGruber?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I see it right now. I see MacGruber 2 on Google. I have no idea that was a thing.
I didn't know that either. MacGruber
First
2.
date, MacGruber. Second date, MacGruber 2.
When did this come out?
2021.
Huh. Okay, I mean, I guess I know what I'm doing tonight now.
All right, well,
let's wrap this bad boy up.
We're talking about
terrible.
Joey's terrible taste in movies, so I think we've
Wait, it's a TV show.
It is?
It's a TV show. Yeah. Well, I don't see it as a film because there's no anything to it. There's
I see 8 episodes.
Yeah, but
Peacock from December 21. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no actual film because I'm looking at it and it just says cast Will Forte, nobody else. Like, unless the movie's out, but I don't think it is. So
No, it might just be a show.
yeah, nah, but Lima Bejer, pretty dope. You know, didn't go as planned, but yeah, we've had a pretty sick run. I can't really be that sad about how Team Liquid's been doing. I think everyone's pretty pleased, all things considered, I would say. I'm sure Liquid's pretty happy with us because I don't know how the rest of the teams are doing, but
Not well.
oh, so we're just carrying the torch. Sick.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just absolutely fucking owning everybody. So
Well, do me a favor and just keep that up, please.
okay, I mean,
I
would like
got
to.
the sponsorship to sell.
Yeah, that's your job now.
A little bit.
No, hopefully we just keep winning and that'll be nice. I think the only other news is like March left Execration or something, and Immortal Faith left Nigma or some shit.
Yeah, it feels like a
Just
fairly
like coach swap.
1-to-1 coach swap that's going on there.
Well, I don't think Immortal Faith's going to Execration, is he?
Oh, well, yeah. Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, good for Nigma. They I think there's still something there.
Another Korean coach for a Western European team. Maybe Carl saw that and he was just like, that's the secret right there. That's the secret of success.
Getting Koreans is everything. I just think Koreans, honestly, I would have gotten, if I could have, if the situation lined up, I would have asked March. Deadass. Just would have straight up asked him. Unfortunately, he asked us after TI, and we said that we needed a bit of time to like think about it, and I would have loved to have worked with him. But just probably, well, probably in my opinion, maybe this is news to my team, but I would like to still look for somebody. I don't know who that is yet, and I'm not forcing it. Ideally, this person is just, really perfect, and then it's an easy sell.
Oh, you want another like gameplay coach like Jarek did last year?
Yeah, that would be lovely. But finding
you don't
a
have to do that part. You want to just focus on the draft.
Yeah, drafting is just so much more fun. So we're gonna see, I guess, what happens there. But yeah, we'll kind of look around. So
Okay.
if you're a dope ass coach and
Yeah, everybody who's listening to this, who has ever wanted to make it onto a professional team, be sure to at Blitz DOTA. Just give him your best advice on how to be better as a coach for him personally. Maybe actually correct some of his drafting would probably be a good step. Tell him what he did wrong. But especially for the finals, especially talk about like why you just tip number 1, ban Lina, I think is probably a really good like title to your cover letter as a coach for Liquid. He'll really appreciate that'll get you in. I promise that'll get you in.
that shit was so annoying. Like I don't even know how to fucking begin to explain like the Lina problem.
Hey, you already did. Broodmother and Lashrak.
It's so I don't think people understand. I saw what those games look like, guys. They were way worse. We just weren't beating this team. We tried. We did rack our brains. It's not like we just decided we weren't gonna like do anything and we were gonna roll over. We were like, we came up with some ideas. They didn't fucking work. That's life. You know, just fucking move on. Play the next one. What can you do? You know.
What can you do?
That's like.
See him in Berlin.
Yeah, you know, it happens. Sometimes you get fucking worked. They're a very good team. You know, I'm not arrogant. I don't believe that beating them would have been hard no matter fucking what. And assuming we could beat them with down like our most important players, just in my opinion, it's insane. Just wasn't going to happen. And that's okay, you know? It's all good. But we tried our best strat. We really thought it would work. It didn't. That's life. What can you fucking do?
All right.
So that's you know, if you got advice for me that's not that, and you think you actually know drafting and stuff, and that sounded really passive aggressive, but if you think you understand it, you're more than welcome to DM me, and I'll fucking talk to you about why we did the things that we did at like a high
Why you're wrong.
a high level. Nah, I mean, I'm down to like. I just think sometimes people get into drafting and they look at the base level of things so easily. Okay, for example, now that like everything's done, I'll just show you a really easy example. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you looked at our drafts and you were to just look through everything and how they went, you'll see that, and you just load up our drafts, you'll see that going into the playoffs, we like never lost with Treant.
Mm-hmm.
And we always like first two picked it, right?
Yeah.
If you just load up our drafts and you know you're an idiot and you're like, oh well, duh, they win with Treant all the time. Well, bro, we're like 14-2 in the groups. We won with a lot of fucking things. Like that's not Treant was like not the OP part of the aspect of it. It was just, you know, we happened to pick Treant. It was an easy pick because Brood was banned every fucking game or NP was banned every fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know. You'll think to yourself like, well, why did this team not do like this or anything like that? It's because teams usually, the first draft of the day, teams, if they're any good nowadays, they'll prepare for both situations, guys. They'll prepare for first pick and they'll prepare for second pick. You don't really prep Dire or Radiant, but you'll prepare for first pick and you'll prepare for second pick. And if your coach is worth anything, then he's going to like run you through a bunch of scenarios where you'll say, okay, let's say hypothetically we give them this hero. So that's your starting point. You say, we'll give them Brood. And then you run a draft and you're like, oh God, this looks awful. Like Brood's just going to stomp us in like 5 minutes. Let me tell you, Brood was way better than any other fucking hero. Fuck off with his Lina shit. Like Brood was the most disgusting hero in that patch. Just talk to a pro or anybody that, you know, like you think knows the game above a decent level and ask them what it's like to play against Brood in competitive. And they'll tell you it's fucking just, you know, you'll see that we also never lose with Brood. Our win rate with that hero must be like insane. Our win rate with Tusk must be something stupid at this point. But it's not simply like we have 100% win rate with Tusk, therefore Liquid Tusk you must ban. Like we had a really high win rate with a lot of things. For example, I think that's where Shopify went wrong in their picks and bans against us. They first two ban Tree every single time, which we knew Bulba would do. But yeah, it's like you can also play off of things like that because you know what people do against you. It's like, you know, if we first pick Tree 4 series in a row, 5 series in a row, 6, it would have been 6. And Bulba had lost to it. I promise you the first thing that people would have posted is like, you know, I'm no coach, but Liquid is now won with Treant 6 times in a row. You know, so you know, this seems really obvious. I would just ban Treant. It's like, oh, well, congrats, man. Like you fucking like solved the riddle. You really fucking put the pieces together and you did such a sick job drafting. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect drafter, but the whole Lina Gladiators thing is like, bro, I saw what the Lesh game looked like. I saw what the Brood game looked like. The pass that we did when we did our mock drafts and stuff, they just didn't add up well at all. We just didn't have good answers for heroes. And the Lina was by far the thing that we felt most comfortable playing against. In fact, I don't think before we played against Gladiators, I don't think we had dropped a single Lina game in this tournament or in actually in Western Europe, we lost to it once. But other than that, we beat it 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I noticed you guys gave it up all the time.
4, 5, 6, 7. We're 7-1 against that hero. You know, and the one loss was like
that was the
a
Geek
game that
Slate
did not
game
matter.
that you guys should not have lost against Bounty Hunter Zeus supports.
Yeah. So it's kind of just like it doesn't just work by what you see is what you get. You know, teams prep stuff. You have ideas around things. You try your best to make it work. If it doesn't, that's life. You know, it's similar to when people say, more and more do I realize, like Crow and Puppy, why they do stuff. Once you're kind of in the drafting chair yourself and you understand the prep that goes into it, a lot of the times you're just kind of, it's like a real pick your poison with drafting. And sometimes you're just going to give them what looks broken because what you think is more broken is just off the table. And you could be wrong, but at the same time, I guess recently, especially, we've done way better just sticking to our guns, especially like at TI, and just saying like, you know, we'll live or die by this, and that's life. And if it doesn't work and our prep was bad, so be it. And of course, there's some level of flexibility, but you know, we stayed up all night trying to prep this thing out. And if we lose, and the first thing we do is like, oh, well, we have to like, you know, if we lose to Treant again, how embarrassing would that be? No, you don't think like that. You just think to yourself, you make calm, rational decisions. You try and do mock drafts. You try and assume what people like and what they value. And then you kind of just go off of that. And then you talk to your players and they'll say, I think this is like way easier for us to play against. And then you just say, okay, deal. And then you try it out. And if it doesn't work, then you weren't good enough. And that's okay too. Not everything is draft related. It's not like every time Shopify loses a draft, like Bulba's a fucking idiot or anything like that. He was in a tough position too. Like the Enigma thing. I would have taken Enigma if he didn't. And their game would have been way harder because Zai is such a sick Enigma and we never lose with that hero. Mm-hmm. Then it would have been the same story the other way around. So sometimes it's just way more complicated than people realize. Did Saber play a fantastic Enigma? Definitely not. But, you know, it's shocking, like, can't really do that much more with that. I'm sure he said he feels comfortable playing the hero. I'm sure this was his, like, first really big tournament with Shopify. Obviously, he had been to a major finals before, but there's probably a lot of pressure riding on him because he's always the person that, you know, the offlaner on that stack always gets kicked or some shit. So, you know, I just don't think it's as...
The defense against the dark arts position.
Did you use that in the cast?
Avery used it in the cast.
Oh, did you guys credit Artur?
Yeah.
Incredible line. Incredible self-awareness.
I mean, at least they know. As long as they know.
Incredible self-awareness. It's one of my favorite comments anybody's ever made in my entire life. I really cannot stress that enough. Do you know this comment, Joey?
No.
Artur refers to their offlaner as the defense against the dark arts. Like, because you know in the Harry Potter books, the defense against the dark arts teacher like always gets replaced. Mm-hmm. You know, before J.K. Rowling like fucking said the dumbass shit that she did. Mm-hmm. You know, the whole Harry Potter thing. This was like 6 years ago. He's like, or 4 years ago. He's like, fucking position is dark defense against the dark arts. I thought that shit was funny as fuck. So, you know,
since universe, man.
Ever since uni, should have never.
That really has been going on for a long time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my rant on drafting. If you're really confused and you want more context as to how drafting works, I'm happy to teach you. If anybody out there is actually going to listen to this podcast and says like, I want to know more about casting and I don't want to stay like an idiot and I want to like think smart things about like Dota and impress nobody because nobody gives a shit about Dota drafting.
No. Then
let me learn. And I'm not even the best person to tell you. I'm so bad at it. But I can at least give you context as to how we think about it. And maybe that'll, you know, you'll think about that before you post and tweet at me. Why didn't you ban Lina? Like,
why didn't you ban Lina? I don't know, man.
Low key, Blitz is actually the talent, especially panel. He is the low key MVP for the talent. If you think somebody is doing a good job when it comes to drafting and talking about stuff, it's probably because William helped him.
Yeet. I mean, that's just fun because Dota talent like to learn. The new school Dota talent ask questions. They really want to know what's going on, especially Sheep. Sheep throws so many fucking questions my way. It's really sweet because I think it really helps myself get my thoughts out there, and it also just, you know, she has good things to talk about and she's a smart girl and that's just fun to talk Dota with her. So it's mutually beneficial.
I found that teaching very often is one of the best ways to cement your knowledge in a subject. When you like already know and then you teach somebody else, it like actually furthers your own thoughts on the subject really well.
No, for sure. I mean, I think all in all, it's a really fun way to just like, I really just like talking Dota. As you know, it's one of my favorite things to do. It's just like talk drafts and kind of run through situations and stuff. It's interesting for me. So, you know, if there's people out there that ever want to do it, and especially if you're a Dota talent and you want to know more about drafting, I will always help you. If you want to just like understand how first pick works and how second pick works and how the dynamics at play work and how teams value heroes and why and stuff, you know, more than welcome to come knock on my door, and I will happily help out. And I will always offer this. And the only person that ever takes me up on it is Cap and Sheep. But not that I'm flaming anybody. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you think it's pointless for your job, then I can't really hate on that. So, but yeah, drafting is like way more logical than, at least at like a high level, than I think people realize. So.
All right, cool.
Yup.
Wrap it up.
Oh, it's wrapped. I'm gonna press the button. We're gonna go home.